Welcome everyone to our quarterly Outlook video. My name's Kevin DeHaad, President and CEO with CWB McLean & Partners. Well, this time last year I was standing by myself in the middle of the infield at the Calgary Stampede. And we were filming our quarterly Outlook video, and one of the reasons we were able to film it there, unfortunately, is because there was no Calgary Stampede. So it's great this year that the Calgary Stampede has moved on and opened up. And in the spirit of that, we're wearing our Calgary Stampede duds, and we're here filming in the Ranchmen's Club, which has been connected to the Calgary Stampede and the Calgary community since 1891. Now, before I interview my guest today, Trevor Fennessy, I wanted to just expand a little bit on how we continue to grow our team and, more importantly, grow our specialists in our teams. Some of you may recall about a year and a half ago, I interviewed Kim Stevens, and Kim was working with our client portfolio management team in developing financial plans for our clients. Kim was also working on the insurance solution side too, and he was doing some insurance work for our clients as well. And demand for Kim's services continue to grow, and there's been ongoing demand for insurance. So Kim is now going to be 100% focused on insurance and insurance solutions. And Trevor Fennessy is going to be joining our team in a financial planning capacity from TE Wealth. And I thought I would just elaborate a little bit on how TE Wealth fits into the overall CWB picture. Back in 2020, CWB actually purchased TE Wealth, and they have offices across Canada. They've been in business 45 years, and at the time they're managing $6 billion in assets under advisement and management. And one of the things that TE Wealth is a leader in, and I think really makes them unique, is their expertise in financial planning. And they really lead with financial planning, and they've been doing that for the last 45 years. So we're really excited that Trevor Fennessy from TE Wealth is going to be supporting our team in a financial planning capacity and doing financial plans for our clients. So with that, let's dive into my conversation with Trevor. Welcome, Trevor. I thought a good place to start would be to give us a sense of your background and your process to financial planning.
Absolutely, Kevin. So I was born and raised in Ottawa, and I would say that really the turning point for me and what ultimately led me to a career in financial planning was a course in high school that I took, an economics course. So up until that point, I was very passionate about maths and sciences. I was always very curious growing up. And I found that after taking that economics course, it just led me on a completely different path. So from that point, I would say that I was exposed to an entirely different way of viewing the world. Mm-hmm. I was becoming a lot more interested in global markets, began following the news a lot more. And I think for my parents, teachers, classmates, this was a huge change that not many of them saw coming. But in hindsight, it ultimately led me on the path to going off to business school. So I went to Trent University, where I did my Bachelor of Business Administration. After my second year there, I was fortunate enough to do an internship with TE Wealth at their Toronto office. So that was a rotational internship where I did about a month and a half in the investment management department, as well as some time on the financial planning side. So after graduating from university, I had reached out to TE to let them know that I was willing to relocate elsewhere if there were an opportunity anywhere in the country. And believe it or not, 3 weeks later, I was living and working in Calgary, sitting in on a client meeting here with TE. So over the past 7 years, I've worked through a few different positions. So I began my career supporting a few of the senior vice presidents in our office. And from the get-go, I was able to sit in on client meetings and really learn about that client advisory relationship and really get a sense of the different styles within the industry. From that, I was able to form the way that I choose to interact with my clients. In addition to that, throughout that period, I was also gaining my technical skills as well. So I worked through the CFP program. I became a certified financial planner in 2017. And at that point, I began taking on clients of my own. Yeah. So I would say the financial planning field has been excellent to me. It's something that I really do enjoy. I have a passion for helping others, and I think it's a great career for me and something that I want to continue doing for many years going forward.
Good, super. That's excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm happy you kind of veered away from the sciences and came to the business side of the world. So that's great. Now, in your mind, what is the purpose of a financial plan? And maybe you could talk a little bit about your process, Trevor, and how you approach financial planning with clients.
For sure. Yeah. So I would say, quite simply, Kevin, the purpose of a financial plan is to provide peace of mind. So we start with gathering as much information as possible about the client. So what I like to focus on first is really what keeps them up at night.
Right.
And in a recent study that was issued by Financial Planning Canada, they found for the fourth consecutive time through this annual study that money is the number one stressor for households in Canada. And this should come as no surprise to us. But when we do drill down a little bit deeper on what may be the source of that stress, it can be different for everyone, right? So we could be looking at poor debt management, potentially having difficulty weathering volatility in equity markets,
Right.
or maybe just not having a thorough understanding of the tax implications on their estate. So although these conversations can be quite difficult at times, I think that's where we have to focus our efforts first to truly relieve stress for the client. From that point, we're able to identify more of their goals and aspirations for the future. So we may be looking at purchasing a secondary property in retirement, additional travel within retirement, or saving for a grandchild's education. So what I will say, Kevin, is that when we look at, certainly we both preach diversification within the investment management industry, and I would say that that's very common to how people manage their financial lives as a whole. So we may end up with assets spread across a number of financial institutions. There may be a few different insurance strategies. We may, when we look to income sources in retirement, we may have an employer pension, government pensions. There may even be an annuity sprinkled in there. Right. So I think that a lot of these pieces that we add and the complexity that we add to our financial lives are certainly the right decision at that time. But we really need to take a look holistically at the entire financial picture to understand whether or not all of these individual pieces are still contributing to our goals and aspirations. And I think that it's only until we bring all of these items together in a comprehensive financial plan that we're able to look at the client situation holistically and ensure that we're moving forward effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Trevor. Thank you. And I know there's a client situation we're working on right now where they have enough wealth, but they're still uncertain how much to give to charity and how much to give in as far as a gifting strategy to some of their children. And so I think as we're working through this plan right now with this client, that gives them that clarity and peace of mind, as you mentioned, to make those, donations and make those gifting strategies. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's excellent. Now, what is the most common question you get asked when it comes to doing these financial plans? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I would say, Kevin, the most common question I get asked is, how much do I need to retire?
Right.
Or how does my retirement stack up to maybe some of the other clients that you're dealing with?
Okay.
And what I can say is that, in my 7 years of preparing hundreds of financial plans, I haven't seen two that are the same.
Right.
So whether that's the income sources or the need for, or the expenses within retirement, there's no two plans that stack up to be exactly the same. We also, when we bring in additional factors, qualitative factors, such as family dynamics, if there's a transfer of a family business, that simply adds additional complexity to the plan.
Right.
In addition to that, I would say that there are some good rules of thumb out there, potentially a starting point for clients to gain a sense of what they may need in retirement. So we see, things thrown around such as the 70%, replacing 70% of your pre-retirement income, or the 4% sustainable withdrawal rate.
Right.
And I think that we need to be looking at these more as just a starting point. When we start to build in additional factors such as inflationary pressure, irregular cash flows in retirement, or even the volatility of equity returns throughout retirement,
right.
We need to be more cognizant of the fact that there are so many different items that could potentially derail those simple rules,
right.
and I think that they tend to just simply go out the window. So in working with our clients, we want them to understand that everyone's financial situation is unique. it's ever evolving, and we need to be focusing on updating the plan on an ongoing basis so that we can react to any of those measures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you mentioned the 4% rule, which is probably one that I kind of have leaned on over the years. And it's, very simply where, if you have a pool of investments and you draw 4% of that out, then, you should have enough capital to live for the rest of your lives, right? And there's people out there, and some of them are our clients, where they feel, they say to me, Kevin, I have enough wealth. I have, say, 10 million in stocks and bonds, and if I just draw 4% out per year, I'm fine. That covers my lifestyle needs, and I'm not drawing down on my capital. Well, why do I need a financial plan, right? What's the purpose of it? And that's been a learning for myself as well. Just all these other elements that come out of a financial plan. So can you speak to that, where, Trevor, individuals feel they have enough net worth, but yet they'll still get value out of a financial plan?
Yeah, so I think maybe I'll start with an example here. So we had a client with about $10 million of investable assets. Very much to your point, Kevin, didn't think they needed a financial plan. And in a conversation that I had with them a number of years ago, they had saved very diligently for many, many years, and they never thought that they would end up with this much money, right? So what we were able to do is take a look at their retirement spending needs. So they had 3 adult children, 6 grandchildren. So they had really dialed back on their lifestyle. They weren't traveling as much. They were staying here locally in Calgary to spend more time with their grandchildren. So they didn't need quite the amount of funds that they had needed previously. So through the financial plan, we were able to determine that they only actually needed about $7 million of those funds. So the additional $3 million was really just growing, continuing to compound, and would have just left them with a huge estate balance at the end of the day. There would have been large taxes to settle there as well, and they wouldn't have been able to see the benefit of passing on those funds to their children. So with the client, we worked through bringing in a gifting strategy where they were giving $150,000 a year over a 20-year period, so $50,000 to each child. And we didn't just go with a straight $50,000 gift. So some of that money was going towards educational funding for the grandchildren. But what I was able to see, Kevin, is 5 years later, after bringing that strategy into play, 2 of the 3 children are now mortgage-free. And one of their grandchildren is a very talented soccer player who was able to be sent off to a private school to continue to develop those skills. He's going into his final year of high school next year, and he's being looked at by colleges throughout the States. And I think that for our clients, this was a game changer for them to truly see the value of their hard work in action while they were still there to witness it. So when we're working with clients that are in this stage, we look at classifying their wealth into 2 buckets. So we look at the life bucket and the legacy bucket. So the life bucket is pretty easy to define. So we want to define that with as much clarity as possible. We want to test it for market volatility, many different assumptions. But I would say that the life bucket is truly defined using our brains, whereas the legacy bucket, that's where we're able to work with our clients, and really a lot of those decisions come from the heart. That's what I truly enjoy doing most within my job, is helping clients to define that legacy.
Right.
And really looking at what is the impact that they want to make on the world.
Yeah.
And I think the ability to be able to help clients to define the life component with more clarity allows them to then shift their focus to defining their legacy and passing on to future generations.
Super. Thanks, Trevor. That's a great story, and I love how you compare and contrast the life bucket with the legacy bucket, and how financial planning, gave this couple total peace of mind for them to make those decisions. So I really enjoyed the conversation today, and it's great to have you working with our client portfolio management team and working with our clients and helping them with their financial plans. So very much look forward to continuing our role and work with you. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you very much for watching this quarter's Quarterly Outlook video. And there is a written commentary by the research team on each asset class attached to this quarterly outlook video. So I would encourage you to review our written commentaries by the research team. Secondly, we talked about financial plans today and financial planning. And so I would encourage you at your next review meeting with your client portfolio manager to just ask the question if a financial plan is appropriate given where you are in your investment life cycle. We would welcome financial planning conversations with you. And thirdly, as the Calgary Stampede is opening up and the economy is opening up, we are looking at that with regards to our physical office as well. Most of you know that our office has been open through the entire period over the last year and a half, although we've been running with limited team members at our office. And we are slowly looking at more face-to-face interactions with our clients. We're going to be watching very, very closely provincial health guidelines as well as the vaccination rates in the general population. And I would say we'll be likely to do more client interactions through the late summer and into the fall, and look at possibly more team members being in the office this fall as well. So with that, again, I hope you enjoyed this quarter's outlook, and I hope you're enjoying all the heat out there, having a great summer. And again, we thank you very much for your support, your trust, and your relationship. All the best.